Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be playing a little Diablo 4, and as I promised, I'm going to be doing a video here on my Barbarian. I did say I was going to try to do a video right after level 20, but the levels just kept on piling on last night. Easy peasy. I was running with Dr. Darkspawn. He was running a rogue last night, so him and I paired together. We did end up on World Tier 2, so we played Veteran for 99% of the night. I'll still be playing Veteran today because it was just easy. It was really easy play time. He was melting things. I was calling them in with my taunts. This Barbarian build, I'm going to explain it to you here in a sec once we get into the game. It's how I built it. Remember, when you go to build your character, your gear is as important as the talents you put into your build because they supplement each other. They work with each other. And I want to just point out one of the pieces of gear that I have. If you look at the star ability at the bottom here of this piece of gear, this chest plate, it's got Iron Skin grants Unstoppable and 12% damage reduction. So what's the beautiful thing about this is that star ability, the game allows me to pull that out of this item. I could actually remove that ability from this item. So when I upgrade my gear or upgrade this armor piece in the future, I can then take that ability and put it on the new piece of armor. So that's what's nice about those abilities. So watch out for things that are attuned to what you use in your rotation. And Iron Skin is one of the things. We'll be going over that in a second. Is one of the things that I use quite often. And being unstoppable while it's up is huge. It really is. There's a few other pieces of gear that I have that, this one here, you gain 5 fury per second while berserking. I do berserk a lot in this ability, or in this game. With that ability, the ability berserking, I use it a lot. So let's just look at the abilities here on the abilities tree. And I'm going to try to explain them quickly so I'm not boring you. Now, as I had said in the previous videos, when you highlight over the primary, it's going to show you what the modifiers are. These are the modifiers, these side points that I spent for this. So it's true across all the abilities. So when you look at them, the reason why I took 3 points into this, 1 point in the primary, then 2 in the others, it has a 10% chance to make your enemy vulnerable, but it's the third one that I really wanted. Is when Flay deals direct damage to an enemy, you gain 3% damage reduction and 60 thorns for 3 seconds. All right, so I want to just go back to the previous screen real quick. I just want to go back to the character, and I want to go back to stats. And I want to scroll down. It's the last one here. It's called Thorns. Right now it's 158. So I have 158 thorns just standing still. But then when I use that Flay ability, those points will stack. So adding another 60 points to that, and it stacks up to 4 times. So you really could be, you're doing 400 or 500 points of damage just by creatures attacking me, hitting me. All right, so the next, my core ability is Whirlwind. Obviously, that's a really good ability to have for what I'm doing. And you gain 1 fury each time Whirlwind deals direct damage to an enemy and 4 fury against elite enemies. That's the modifier I took. That allows me to keep it running a little longer. I put 1 point into pressure point here. It is your core skills have up to a 10% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. So that's a debuff. And because Whirlwind hits everything around me, it made sense. It's a 1 in 10 shot to add the vulnerability, which seems good to me. And so I might pull this point out of here eventually, but for now, it does affect a lot of mobs around me, especially when I'm whirlwinding a lot. So going down to the next, into the defensive area, this is where I packed on Iron Skin. I've got 4 points in Iron Skin, plus the 2 modifiers. The second modifier doesn't show here. The second modifier increases the barrier. It absorbs 11% more of your maximum life. So you get more points out of the barrier. But here, the barrier absorbs 65% of your missing life for 5 seconds. And then while Iron Skin is active, you heal for 10% of the barrier's original amount as life per second. So you're just stacking life and putting a barrier up. It works really, really well. And plus, I'm unstoppable based on that gear that I showed you. So during that time, I'm moving around, can't be CC'd, I'm unstoppable. All right, so the next thing you go down to is Outburst. Gain 72 thorns, also gain 12 thorns for each 60 bonus life you have, maximum life you have. So I'm not sure if when you put temporary hit points on yourself by using abilities that this scales up or down, or if it's just based on your base health. But because I'm playing a tank, I'm always increasing my health. So this ability is only going to get better and better as I pack more hit points onto myself. The next one down here that's part of this is increase your thorns by 3%. When enemies hit you, you take an additional 10% of your thorns. They take additional 10% of the thorns as bleeding damage over 5 seconds, which is great because if I've got 30 mobs hitting me and they're all hitting me and they're taking the thorns damage, then they start getting a debuff and bleeding. Bleeding is a debuff. So there are abilities in this game that do more damage to bleeding foes. So if I'm running with another person and they've got one of those abilities that do maximum damage to bleeding enemies, I just have to have enemies hit me and they automatically start bleeding. I'm a picker bush. I'm like a rose bush. Okay, and then the bread and butter of my build is the challenging shout. This calls the mobs towards me so they will hit me, so that they can just pound against me and just be flayed by the thorns. And then the whirlwind just gobbles them up. Between the whirlwind and the thorns, I'm doing a lot of damage quickly. I just got to get them to start hitting me. While challenging shout is active, gain 20% bonus life. Again, I don't know if when that bonus life is added to me for this duration of the challenging shout, if the thorns is increasing in damage. I haven't looked at that. I'll have to see. When challenging shout is active, you gain 3 fury each time you take damage. So again, every time I get hit, I get more fury, I get more angry, and I can just keep the whirlwind up. So that works very well for me. Getting down here, this is where I spend a lot of my points, and these are my support points. So I've got 1 point in Warcry. I'll try to get more points in this moving forward. And its modifier, Warcry grants you berserking for 4 seconds. So we were looking at that while I was berserking, I get bonuses based on that gear that we were looking at. So when I use the Warcry, because of the modifier I used, I gain berserking for 4 seconds. Then Warcry grants you 15% base life, 90 points, as Fortify. That's the modifiers. And then here is where I put a good portion of my points in my support build. The first tier is Booming Voice, causes all my shouts durations to increase by 24%. So when I use my taunt, my challenging shout, and when I use my war cry, those durations are increased by 24%. During the time that they're up, I do this, Raid Leader. Your shouts also heal allies for 3% of their maximum life per second. That's 3% per second for the duration of the shout. So when I've increased the shout duration by 24%, I've increased the duration in which I am healing people that are around me. Plus this affects me too, so it heals me too. Then the next thing I put in here, your shout skill causes enemies to deal 12% less damage for 5 seconds. So that's bonus. And that's on me and everybody around me. Take 12% less damage for 5 seconds. All right, so let's go down to the next tree. Here I got these points from gear. I'm not using them. This 1 point is from a gear, something I'm wearing. This point is from something I'm wearing. This point is also from something I'm wearing. This is the only point I spent here. It's thick skin. I'm going to hopefully add a couple more points here. I'm going to try to get more points in the thick skin, because each time you take direct damage, you get 0.4% base life, 2 as Fortify. Doesn't seem to be a lot, so that's why I haven't put a lot into there. And if there's other barbarians watching this video and you think I should be putting points into here more, just let me know. But I really don't have a lot going on here. The next one down is berserking. Well, the Wrath of the Berserker is what I took for the ultimate, and I've only taken the second one for now. I mean, Wrath of the Berserker is active. Every 50 fury you spend increases Berserk's damage bonus by 25%. It's just that I think that's nice, but I do a lot of damage from my thorns, and I do spend a lot of fury fast, so I'm thinking I'm going to take it, but I definitely took the second one. While Wrath of the Berserker is active, gain 20% increased movement speed, increase fury generation by 30%. So you can really put out some hit points there. And the Berserking, its core ability, protects you against knockback. You knock back surrounding enemies. You push them away for a second, and you gain Berserking Unstoppable, and the Unstoppable is what protects you against knockback or CCs or anything for 5 seconds. For the next 10 seconds, dealing direct damage with basic skills grants a Berserking I'm sorry. Dealing direct damage with basic skill grants Berserking for 5 seconds. So you can increase the Berserking duration, it looks like, by using the basic skill, which is my Flay, which I do. Okay, but then what I did is I took this ability in the passive, the last tree. I took increased Berserk's maximum duration by 5 seconds and increase its damage bonus by 25%. So you might ask yourself, well, that's a lot, to bank on just those two abilities. Like you have to, because the Berserk is only 60-second cooldown, right? So every 60 seconds, I can proc that, and then this helps me with that. But remember, Warcry also gives me Berserking. Remember we looked up above when I was telling you about the Warcry? Warcry grants you 50% bonus life, but it also grants me Berserking for 4 seconds. So if it's granting me 4 seconds of Berserk, and this ability is saying that increase Berserk's maximum duration for 5 seconds, I've actually increased that to 9 seconds, right? Because that's the way I read it. So when I proc Warcry, I'm not just Berserking for 4 seconds, I'm Berserking for 9 seconds when I'm Warcrying. So, and then obviously when I Berserk with the actual Wrath of the Berserker, that's being increased too. So that would increase to 10 seconds, right? So there's a 20-second window I could be just Berserking in. But that's the build currently. I'm only, 34, I think, is where my level is. So I have quite a bit of way to go to get the maximum level, which I think is 50. Yeah, I'm 34, so I still got a lot of points still to spend. And as I was saying, gear is really important, obviously, in a Diablo game. Gear is really important to supplement what you're doing with your abilities. And so just try to pair, what you're using in your talent tree, your ability tree, to what you want to wear. And there are items that are that I'm wearing that gives me the thorns. So you can see this item here gives me 42 thorns. So the two things that I'm looking for moving forward, well, actually a couple things. I look to make sure the item, if it has thorns, I like to use it. I want to make sure that it has hit point increase, because that increases my thorns. I also want to make sure that it has strength on it, because strength is very important for the Barbarian. And then after that, it would be armor value for me. So that's what I'm looking for. I mean, armor value is very good. Anything that increases my hit points is very good. But definitely piggybacking thorns is what I really want to do with this build, because when I call them in, I can just flay them up with the whirlwind and the thorns. All right, well, that was my video that I promised you. I'll do another video as I get more levels, but that's Tarkus in the world of Diablo. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and this has been the Tarkus Zone.